This is the Sixth Man Show, an Orlando Magic podcast, with your hosts Luke Sylvia and Jonathan Osborne, covering all things Magic basketball. By fans, for fans. Go Magic. What's going on, Orlando Magic fans? You guys are back with the Sixth Man Show. It is October 4th, 2021. Folks, we have Magic basketball tonight. Luke, how we doing, man? The season is back. We made it.
We made it. It drug along at some points, but we are here. Like you said, we made it. Game is tonight as you're listening to this. Hope you guys are able to, are enjoying listening to our episode today as we kind of get you guys ready for the preseason, talk about some things from training camp. Got a few things to announce and things to get into.
So the Magic, they traveled. So we're recording this Sunday night as Tom Brady just broke the all-time NFL passing yards record, and there was no ceremonial stop or nothing. It was really, really lame. But the Magic today traveled to Boston. They're probably somewhere downtown Boston in their hotels getting ready for the game tomorrow, which will be at 7:30. I believe that game is going to be available on League Pass from everything that I've heard. But basically, NBC Sports Boston is going to be the broadcast team for that, so it won't be our normal guys. But a couple of housekeeping things before we get into this week's episode. We'll talk training camp. We're going to talk preseason. And then we're also going to talk about the type of impact that Jalen Suggs can have on the Orlando Magic in his rookie year this year. But yeah, so a couple of things. We're really excited to announce that we're launching a Patreon. So you can find us patreon.com/the Sixth Man Show. Just a few tiers that we offer. The first one is going to be what we are calling the rookie tier, where you really just have the ability to support the show. $2 a month, not a big ask, but we really would appreciate that. It really just goes towards production costs. It is not free to run the podcast, unfortunately, but allows us to do future things like giveaways and really give back to you guys. Then we have an all-star tier, $5 per month. Obviously, you're supporting the show, but you'll also get some Patreon-exclusive podcast episodes. We're going to try to do those.
It's a coffee a month.
Yeah, stop going to Starbucks. Just support us instead. Just one less Starbucks trip a month, but we'll have some Patreon-exclusive episodes. Our new patrons will get shout-outs on the show, and then you'll be included in the special thanks section at the end of each of our YouTube videos. And then we have a $10 a month tier that we're calling the Hall of Fame tier. Comes with all of the same benefits as the All-Star tier, but you'll also have access to a monthly Zoom Q&A from us, where we'll give you guys time to answer, ask questions that we'll answer, give you guys some behind-the-scenes updates. We'll give you a patron shout-out on each episode on the podcast, as well as the special thanks at the end of each YouTube video. And then we're also starting a Discord channel, so you guys will have access to that. Chat with us on a day-to-day basis about the Magic or whatever else you guys want. So again, patreon.com/the Sixth Man Show. We would greatly appreciate your guys' support. Beyond that, coming up on the 20th, so opening night for the Orlando Magic, they'll be on the road to take on the San Antonio Spurs. That game is going to start at 8:30 Eastern Time, but we will be at Harry Buffalo starting at 8 o'clock to hang out with you guys and watch that game. It's going to be the first game of the season, so we're hoping for a great turnout, get a lot of you guys out and have some fun. And then we're planning some stuff for the home opener as well, but we'll talk more about that as we get a little bit closer next week. But Luke, a lot of exciting, fun stuff going on right now. Again, the season is starting tonight at Boston. Are we excited or what?
And I have a question for you first, Jonathan, just a clarification question about Patreon. Is that live for people to go to now, or
it's up?
It's up and running, so anybody feels compelled to help us out a little bit, support the show. Like Jonathan said, we greatly appreciate it, and it's kind of already open for use. So as you're listening to this, if you want to check it out while we're recording, feel free to do so. Again, just really appreciate it. But yeah, so Jonathan, like you said, we have preseason tonight against Boston. Boston's got some new faces, some familiar faces. Al Horford back in the building. Dennis Schroeder. Grant Williams has shed some weight, apparently. Was watching some Celtics content, and he now dunks. They made it sound like he couldn't dunk before.
Interesting.
So he said, one of my newfound talents that I have is being able to dunk now that I've shed some weight. And, that good for him. Shedding weight's not easy, and I'm sure as an NBA player, you're probably constantly being hounded to do so. So good for Grant Williams.
Zion don't care. I got news for you. That boy eating good.
Zion thick. So
He does not care.
But I was also, watching kind of, like you said, Celtics coming up. Ime Udoka, the new head coach there, Brad Stevens' successor that he hired. He was talking about, we're still getting familiar. We're going to use a lot of different lineups tonight or, tomorrow night. And, so I think that you're just going to see a lot of summer league type vibes, just better players.
Yeah.
It's going to be very rusty first game of the season. Every game is going to look different. I'm assuming the rotations in Orlando will look different from night to night as, Mosley just kind of tries to find his footing.
So in terms of the Magic, just quick injury report. Obviously, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Michael Carter-Williams, those guys will be out. Right now, on the injury report for tomorrow's game, today, Chuma Okeke ruled out, looking at ESPN here. So I'm hoping that we'll see him kind of ramp up the activity as we get closer, to the regular season. Now, he wasn't totally ready to go at the beginning of training camp. But yeah, right now, head coach Jamal Mosley said Okeke isn't expected to play in Monday's preseason opener versus the Celtics. That's per Josh Robbins of The Athletic, which kind of sucks. But, a lot of times these first couple of games, you're going to see everybody. We're probably going to see some Robin Lopez. We'll see some Ignas Brazdeikis. And then the last, 2 games of the preseason for the Orlando Magic, which just happen to be the home games, for the Orlando Magic. Those will kind of be like the dress rehearsals where Jamal Mosley will probably tighten the rotation a bit and we'll get a better idea, of kind of what that lineup is going to look like for the Magic. Again, no Markelle Fultz, no Jonathan Isaac, so that's going to change as those guys come back, hopefully over the next couple of weeks or months, and we'll see what that looks like. But Luke, what are you, most excited for the first preseason game, and kind of what are you expecting?
I'm expecting it to be very sloppy, as we have touched on. I'm expecting it to not be very pretty, but I'm excited to just see, we got to see some of them during Summer League, but I'm excited to see Mosley in situational times, out of timeouts, baseline out of bounds plays, things like that, and just kind of get a better feel for Mosley because we really didn't get very much. He coached, 2 Summer League games, I think, maybe 3? I think maybe 2. But regardless, I think that, we just didn't get to see a lot. So with the new coach, it's exciting even with just that. But the fact that the entire team feels new, they're new to each other, while that chemistry has been, seems to be incredible, this is when they really get to prove their chemistry together. And they've been able to go through training camp. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm obviously excited about Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs and just kind of seeing what they're able to do. I don't think that comes as a shock to anybody. I'm sure it's on everybody's top of the list. But yeah, I think that the one that, the players might overshadow is Jamal Mosley. I'm just excited to see him, be on the sideline and coaching.
Like you mentioned, we saw a little bit of him in Summer League, but those are mostly like glorified pickup games. Like you put some things in place, some principles, but it's mostly just rolling the ball out and letting those guys play and see what they can do. Obviously, all of last week was, training camp. They had, I think, 1 day off. So, they got 4 or 5 days, whatever it was, to, practice together and, implement the principles that they're going to play with. And by all accounts, we'll talk more about training camp in a little bit, but there was a lot of energy. Obviously a big emphasis on, defense and, getting into guys and really playing pretty aggressively, which, it differs really from, the style of play that we saw with Steve Clifford, where it was kind of reactionary and just kind of letting things happen. One thing that I'm really interested in seeing, and something that I think was a problem with the Steve Clifford defenses, where anytime the ball, would get into the paint, Magic over helping and then guys kicking out for wide open 3-pointers. And Steve Clifford, in his 3 seasons with the Magic, seemed totally okay with living with that. So I'm, like you said, excited to see the kind of defense that Mosley is going to put in place. It sounds like this team is going to play with a lot of energy, up-tempo, all these young guns, kind of get out and run. So, yeah, really excited for that. But then, to see the rookies and see how they play. Jalen Suggs, I feel like we have a pretty good idea that he's going to be, a really solid player, probably from day one. I'm really excited to see Franz, though. A lot of, people know he struggled shooting the ball in preseason. Summer League started to look better as the Summer League went. And yeah, Luke, I'm excited to see the kind of growth that he's made since then. Now that he's got this training camp and really got his legs underneath him. And we'll kind of see how he looks. But so Monday, 7:30 in Boston to take on the Celtics. Then the Magic will fly to New Orleans. They'll have a day off Tuesday. And then Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern, they'll take on the New Orleans Pelicans. That is set to be broadcast on Bally Sports New Orleans. So, again, I believe you can find that on League Pass. But if you're looking for alternate means to be able to watch the game, that's the network. And then the Magic will return home Sunday, October 10th, to take on the Spurs at 6 o'clock Eastern. And then they get 2 days off, and then they'll wrap up preseason Wednesday, October 13th versus Boston, Luke. And then they'll have the entire week off to practice, make adjustments before the start of the regular season, again, at San Antonio on the 20th. So really excited, Luke. Anything in particular that you're excited to see from the New Orleans, Boston, or San Antonio, and then the second Boston game?
Man, the theme really the whole time for me is going to be what I talked about, being excited about. I as an NBA fan, as a Magic fan, it's easy to get excited for preseason. As an NBA fan, I'm not really excited to watch these other teams play. There's new faces everywhere, but that's every year, and just not really, looking forward to watching the Spurs play, for instance. After obviously, everything that the changes they had in the offseason. The Celtics, you play them twice. If anybody remembers last year, the Magic go 3-0 on the road and then go 0-3 at home in the preseason. And I just kind of wanted to read this. I've got this pulled up. Let's see here. Last preseason, just to give you guys an idea of kind of how it went and how, it's not usually like the regular season. The leader, if this happened this year, Jonathan, what do you think the vibes around Magic Twitter and just the Magic universe would be if this happened this year? Last year, first game of the year, preseason at San Antonio, Mo Bamba led the team with 18 points. Something like that happens tomorrow. It feels a lot different than it probably did last year when we knew Vucevic was starting center. I mean, you're looking at Wendell Carter at that point. I mean, you're already starting to overthink the entire season if Mo Bamba drops 18 tomorrow night or tonight as you guys listen to this.
Yeah, definitely. I do think there was a little bit different of a vibe last year, though, because even though Vooch had come off, the great, performance against the Milwaukee Bucks, it was like, okay, let's see him if he's going to do this again in the regular season. He shot, like 48% from three in that series against the Bucks, and we're like, okay, well, he's not going to do that. And, he just started off the season like a madman last year. So, but yeah, I feel like I'm going to do my best this year to temper my expectations and my reactions to what we see in preseason.
Yep.
It's really not so much about, winning games. And even if you ask Jeff Weltman, his emphasis this season isn't the playoffs or winning. It's about, growth and learning. So that's what I'm going to be looking for in terms of preseason, is to see guys improve over those 4 games. And, it's just 4 games. It's going to go by pretty quickly, but just to see that those guys have, gotten better since Summer League. Like if Jalen comes out and looks terrible, I'm not going to be overly concerned, but I'm like, okay, that's not great. And if Franz comes out and looks the way that he does in Summer League, I'm like, that's not great. But I might be a little bit concerned, about some of those guys at that point.
My question
I think Cole is going to play. Cole has to play better.
I was going to say
he's going to play worse than he played in Summer League.
We've not really talked about Cole since Summer League. I don't think a panic button was hit. It was with some Magic fans. Some Magic fans, you definitely hit the panic button with Cole after watching in Summer League. And there was a lot of things during Summer League that was like, oh, I hope he gets right during training camp and he looks good come preseason, because I don't know how much more I can defend Cole Anthony. I mean, the personality did not match the play on the court. The leadership, the leadership aspect was still there. I talked about it during Summer League where, Franz misses a free throw and Cole Anthony's in his ear talking him up for the next free throw, just being a leader. So he's got those intangibles. The leadership, he's got that all down pat. But I think that I am also kind of the next thing on my list of what I'm excited about is just to see Cole Anthony tomorrow, and get to see kind of what if he looks different, because I expect he's got a training camp under his belt, and so I'm expecting that he will look different. But if he doesn't look different, I think I'll start to kind of be like, well, maybe he's just still finding his footing in this role as a team because it's completely different than what he was at last year.
Right. Yeah, I think no matter what we see in preseason, it's going to be too early to hit the panic button with any of these guys.
Right.
The main thing that you want to see, right, is growth. So, yeah, like, Cole and RJ, we saw a bit of them in Summer League, but, you're figuring out new teammates and you haven't had too much time to work together, and it's been a long time since you played in a game. Now, that was just, a little over 2 months ago now, so hopefully they're able to knock the rust off a little bit sooner and kind of get it going. RJ looked good, in Summer League, especially the shooting stroke looked a lot better than it did last season. But, yeah, it's no secret. We're not going to harp on this, but Cole did not shoot the ball well. I would like to see him come out and shoot the ball well, and he's talked, in training camp, kind of in his post-practice availability that he knows he didn't play well in Summer League, and he says, I know I'm going to play better in the regular season. He, obviously he's got this unwavering confidence, but he's also talked about how he feels faster, but the game has kind of slowed down for him, and he feels much more in control. So I'm looking to see that as well. I feel like we got a chance to see that towards the end of the regular season last year when he was getting to the rim at a more efficient clip, and he was finishing pretty well, especially for a guy his size. So, yeah, with these guys, you want to see growth. You want to see that these guys are getting better. I know we're not going to get a chance to look at Chuma, but I'm really excited for when Chuma comes back, whether it's against New Orleans or San Antonio. Maybe we see him in the last preseason game. Maybe we don't see him until the regular season, but we didn't really get a chance to see Chuma, in Summer League. So I'm excited to see Chuma and kind of see his growth, how his improvements and everything like that. Outside of that, it's going to be Wendell and it's going to be Mo. We haven't seen those guys. We know that they flew to Las Vegas to participate in the Summer League practices, but we haven't seen those guys in a long time. Obviously, it's no secret. It is this is the make or break season for Mo Bamba. I think this season is going to tell us everything that we need to know about his career. If he doesn't end up with the Magic pass this year, I think he definitely gets at least another shot somewhere else, just because of his natural, physical gifts, and, he has shown flashes. But if he's going to be in Orlando long-term, it has to happen this year. And I think we'll probably know pretty early on. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll know pretty early on. I mean, kind of like last season, Jonathan, where we had an idea at deadline who was going to get traded. We did not foresee Nikola Vucevic.
No, I don't think.
But at the beginning of the season, we said, Evan Fournier is going to get traded. We had an idea that T. Ross could get traded, which is still on the table. I think that there's no question about it. There's just little inklings that you get throughout the season that you start to think, and you get reports and things start to come out, or maybe you just have an inkling about it. And with the way their body language is, I mean, if Clifford is there for another year, I mean, Mo Bamba's absolutely gone. So,
GG's, yeah.
So this is a whole new thing. I think that Mo's leash is now longer. I think Mosley just believes in him more. I don't think that's a secret. I think Mosley has no choice but to kind of believe in everybody to make the most of his, new role. But yeah, I mean, we're going to know pretty soon kind of what Mosley thinks. We'll know by minute distribution, right? Whether it's 50-50 in terms of minute distribution, or if it's, 30-70. I mean, who knows? That is the craziest part about this whole thing, Jonathan. We finally get to look at it tomorrow. We have no clue what maybe more than one or two rotations are of what this group of guys are on the floor.
Who do you think starts tomorrow night? I'm gonna say Cole starts at point guard. I'll go out on a limb and say that. I think after that it's probably I don't know if Terrence starts, but I think Gary Harris. Maybe Franz starts at the 3. Who starts at the 4? With Chuma and J.I. out. Maybe we see Mo Wagner at the 4. Maybe we see Franz at the 4. Maybe we see Terrence and Gary start at the 2 and the 3. I'm pretty confident that Wendell is going to start tomorrow night at the 5.
Yeah.
If Mo starts, then I'm gonna start feeling a type of way. I'm gonna start overreacting a little bit to that, because that will be a big step to me if Game 1, Mo is the one starting instead of Wendell. What about you?
Think so? I'm gonna say, to be contrarian, I'm going to say.
Oh no, not you! Are you kidding?
I would
Not
say
you, Luke.
my lineup virtually looks the same. The same ideas. I'm gonna say that RJ gets to start.
Okay.
RJ, Cole, Franz, Gary, and Wendell. Yeah, Wendell Carter, I think will start tomorrow as well. So I think that would probably be what my guess is. But I mean, that's the crazy thing, Jonathan. Mose could roll out a whole other lineup that we haven't even thought about for the starting lineup tomorrow.
So we're going to talk more about team chemistry in a moment here, but I want to ask you this specifically. So opening night, all right, let's say I think the only guy that's going to be back from the group of guys that's out right now is Chuma. So opening night, I'm probably going to say it's Cole, Gary, maybe Franz, Chuma, and Wendell starting opening night. Now maybe maybe something else happens, but how long do you think before Jalen takes over the starting point guard role with Markelle out? Because I think a lot of us feel like that is probably the right move. But again, Jalen wants to feel like he's earned it. Mose might be a little bit hesitant to start the rookie, the very first game of the season. But I think losses are going to come early for this team. I don't think that's a hot take to say that. But do you think with this being such a young team and them all being so tight, and is Jalen over Cole going to make a huge difference in terms of wins for this team? Probably not. Would it make a big difference for that starting unit? Maybe. I think you can make the case for that. But are you concerned at all about Mosley needing to navigate the chemistry of this team and not mess that up kind of by starting one guy or over another, right, or any of those kinds of dynamics?
I think if Mosley starts the wrong guy, and what I mean by that, if Mosley starts the guy that has kind of been a little irritated in practice because things aren't going his way, he's maybe just a little down on himself, I think we could see this with Mo and WCJ. I think that Mo might start to put his head down, his shoulders get lower. I think we could see that for Mo if we're well into the season and WCJ is getting more minutes, more starts, more of a spotlight role. I think that you absolutely could see Mo Bamba kind of getting to that point where it does rub him the wrong way, and maybe that leads to the departure of Mo Bamba. I think that that's the case. Could be the case, I should say. Now, when it comes to guys like Jalen and RJ and Cole, I don't think so. I think maybe Cole, it lights a fire under Cole. I think Cole is the type of guy that if he gets someone's getting more minutes than him, if they're starting over him, if they're younger than him, if they're the same age as him, you're going to see Cole kind of get a fire lit under him. And I think that could only motivate him to not, to be essentially replaced by Jalen. Jalen, I think, is too even keel to really get thrown off by the whole thing. RJ, I think that he's just a team player. I think that I'm all in on RJ Hampton in general. I think he's obviously got some things that he needs to work on, but as far as his attitude, man, RJ, Cole, Jalen, those guys, I have no questions about their attitude whatsoever, and I'm not worried about Mosley having to tinker with lineups, and they know that stuff's going to happen. Mosley's trying to figure it out. They're trying to figure each other out. It's bound to happen. So they just have to already decide before the season starts what their mindset's going to be if they kind of get their feelings hurt.
All right, so let's continue the conversation with chemistry because I think you make some great points. But so all throughout media day, everyone was so complimentary of one another. Talked about loving hanging out with these guys and loving working out with them and playing with them and everything like that. And everything that we've seen in training camp, Cole Anthony, kind of busting into interviews and the team singing happy birthday to Jonathan Isaac today or I guess that was probably yesterday because they were traveling today, but they posted the video today on Sunday of them singing happy birthday. Just the way that you hear these guys talk about one another. And then also it was reported that Coach Mosley had a big bell installed in the corner of the practice facility where when a player during practice makes a hustle or what they call a winning play, they get to go over and ring the bell. First of all, what do you think of the bell? I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a good idea to keep these guys motivated and to drive, this culture of winning plays and hustle, and we're going to play hard and we're going to be up into you. Some people might find it a little bit cheesy, but what do you think?
So I got a story, Jonathan. In middle school.
Oh, here we go.
Middle school, back in the glory
story time
days.
with Luke.
Yeah, back in the glory days in middle school. My coach, Eric Huffer, shout out Coach Huffer. He definitely doesn't listen to this, but anyway, he put in, a lot of coaches do stuff like this, right? They want you to take charges. They want you to not be afraid to make the hustle plays. In middle school, you took a charge. You got on the ground for a ball and made a game winning play, basically, right? Because those are plays that win games. You got a soda from Coach Huffer for free. He'd buy you a soda.
Kind of counterproductive, eh?
Well, middle school, right? So I could run a mile in jeans in middle school. I'm not worried about that. But yeah, no, I mean, so that was one of those things where it's like, oh, there's incentive here. I'm gonna get extra recognition for doing this. Obviously, in middle school, I'm maybe a little self-absorbed, and I just want to be the center of attention. So I'm diving on the ground, I'm taking charges, I'm yelling. So, but I'm yelling because I know after the game I'm getting a soda from the concession stand from Coach Huffer. No questions asked. So things like this that Mosley is implementing with the bell after making plays like this is a great move. It's a simple thing. It's something that probably didn't take him much time. He probably asked somebody, hey, can we get a bell in here? And they just said, yeah, sure, whatever you want. And brought it in, and that wasn't such a huge thing for him. But it's the little things that make me optimistic about Jamal Mosley, Coach Mosley. That type of stuff gets me excited, knowing that Mosley's not just coming in, clocking out. You wouldn't expect that from a first-time coach. But when you dealt with Steve Clifford the last few years, who, by the way, takes a lot of flack and everything like that, we've talked about it on the show before. I have nothing but respect for Clifford solely because he took us to the playoffs, something that we hadn't seen in years. So I do have a lot of respect for him. But Jamal Mosley, the bell, playing in these drills with him, other assistant coaches getting in these drills with him, this is stuff that it's not normal. It's not normal in the NBA for the coach to just step in and do this type of stuff. And so at least it's not been normal for Magic fans.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
So that's kind of the thing for me is I'm just excited. I read stuff like that. I'm like, dude, keep implementing as many things as you can that take minimal effort for you to create and put into practice, because it's going to make a world of difference with these guys. I wish it was possible that they would bring this bell to the sideline during games. I know it probably breaks some type of protocol and distraction, whatever, but they're incredible. Kind of like in football, there's that people have Miami has turnover chain when they get an interception, something like that. Man, I would love for them to break out something like that. You make a big play, you come to the bench and they give you something when you're sitting on the bench for making a play or whatever.
I'm glad that you're kind of drawing from personal experience. What I will tell you is, for the people that think this is cheesy, I don't think your Coach Huffer story is doing anything to diffuse those kinds of thoughts. Referencing oh yeah, we did this when I was in middle school. This is great. Let's bring it into an NBA practice facility. But no, I'm right there with you. I would love to see this on the sideline or something like that implemented. Just another incentive for these guys. There was a photo posted the other day of Cole and Markelle in the workout room, and they're just grabbing one another, laughing, joking around. And I tweeted from our account that this squad, it feels like an AAU squad. Everybody seems like they're hanging out together all the time. They're always talking about how practice is intense and they're really competing a lot, but they're also joking around with each other. If we look back at, some of the younger, fun teams in the NBA, I always go back to Brooklyn, 2-3 years ago with, D'Angelo Russell and Theo Pinson, Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, really, basically before D'Angelo was gone and, Kyrie was brought in and, Jared Dudley, just how much fun those guys had. And then who's a coach that you and I both kind of fell in love with during the head coach search this year? Kenny Atkinson. And what was the clip that did it? Kenny Atkinson getting the ball, getting involved in practice, and to hear Coach Mosley doing the same things, seeing him get involved in drills, and really these guys just going crazy. There's a picture of who was it? Jalen, I think it was Jalen guarding Coach Mosley.
It was.
And everyone on the sideline, like Mo, Cole, Wendell, everyone's like laughing and cheering and like hyping these guys up. Like I just love to see that kind of stuff. Like you think that you can't love this team anymore, and then they go and do stuff like that. Now, how much are we going to love them when the season starts and, we're on like a 3-4 game losing streak? I don't really know. That's what I'm most excited for. As great as it is to see, these guys getting along so well and everybody hyping each other up during training camp, I want to see how this team faces adversity. Are they still going to come out and fight and be dogs like that every single night when, they're on a back-to-back and the second night is, in Brooklyn and they're down, 20 points in the third quarter? Are they going to continue to fight and everything like that? So
and I think, Jonathan, one last thing to add, kind of you talk about like kind of in the face of adversity, what does this team look like? Man, you saw it last year. Cole hits those game winners. The whole team's freaking out, right? I mean, they're going crazy. As fans, the fan base was torn last year, right? Do we tank? Do we not tank?
Especially the second game winner against the Grizzlies. Like the game winner in Minnesota, we were all on cloud 9. Against the Grizzlies, we're like, this is great mostly, but like we're trying to get a high draft pick. So
so that's the thing is this year the expectations are pretty clear across the board. Might make the play-in, probably not. I'm sorry if I just broke a lot of you guys' spirits.
Would be a miracle to make the play-in.
Right, so Jonathan just broke your spirits a little more than I just did.
That's my opinion.
It is the right opinion, but unfortunately I think there's a lot of people who don't really know where this team sits and what to think. It's a young team, but I do know this. Anytime there's a Cole game winner, which isn't normal, by the way, to have 2 game winners, especially your rookie year, if you get one more from Cole like that this season, that'd be incredible. I think that, if you get a Jalen game winner, a Franz game winner, I mean, anything like that, like, it's not even going to be a question. The entire Magic fan base is going to be ecstatic. I think at any point in the season, man, like, at least you should be. But I do know we're going to hit All-Star break and people are going to be like, all right, guys, let's continue tanking. But I think the team will naturally not just be not great. So I think that, that would kind of be my advice to people this season as fans. If a big moment happens that elevates the morale of the team, be all for it. Because these are guys that, you go on big losing streaks. Channing Frye talked about it on the Road Tripping podcast with Jalen Suggs and obviously Richard Jefferson and Allie Clifton. Talked about how Orlando was pretty much his least favorite place to play because they were talented, but they were losing. And it was like, that starts to demoralize a team. So like while you guys are all, talking about tanking and everything, think about these guys who like when they would kill to win a basketball game. And then, Jalen Suggs talked about, I know it's hard to win in the NBA. And I think that, any win that this team gets together is an incredible morale booster, team builder for not only the players, but Mosley. I mean, just to get affirmation that he's doing things right. You guys need to take every win this season and celebrate it because we don't know when the next losing streak is going to be. But, this team is going to be, I think they will be great in the face of adversity. I don't think that they will, hang their heads as a team. They know what losing's like, a lot of them, from last year. They're just focused on getting better. They know the goals. They're not being unrealistic with themselves.
Quick sidebar. What was your favorite Channing Frye moment in Orlando? Because one just, jumps out at me every single time I think about him.
Which one is it? Because I just remember hearing that he wasn't very... happy to be there.
Oh, I mean, I don't know about all that. First of all, he signed here as a free agent, so that's a lot of that is your fault.
Right.
But secondly, there was a stretch where we were just losing close game after close game after close game, and he's in the locker room after, and obviously it's a bunch of young guys on the team, and he's like, yeah, people keep saying oh, we almost won, we almost did this, we almost did that. He goes, well, it's still effing losing, but he said the whole thing on Fox Sports Florida at the time, and I was like, that's just incredible. Like that, even though he wasn't a huge contributor, but to see a veteran like that cared that much about the wins and the losses and see that he was that bothered by that. And it was also just hilarious. I think everyone can agree that if nothing else, Channing Frye is very entertaining, his personality. But yeah, that's just a little sidebar there. That's definitely my favorite favorite Channing Frye moment. But yeah, like you talked about with adversity, what I want to say about the tanking, one thing that I absolutely refuse to do this year is get mad about wins again. Like I'm not gonna deal with people that are pissed off after a win and that are cheering that we're losing, blah blah blah. Like I feel very comfortable in saying the Magic will finish as a bottom 3 team. Like I just don't see a ton of scenarios where that's not really the case. And we went through the whole tanking thing. We had bottom 3 odds. Guess what? We still ended up 5th. People are going to say, "Oh, well, this team ended up bottom 3 and they got the number 1 overall pick and all this other garbage." It's all random. Let's not we all have the last year as reference that we can pull from to see. Guess what? We did it the right way, and it didn't work out. So it's all random. Let's all accept that, and let's try to enjoy the whatever good comes from this season the best that we can. I'm not going to be I will be putting on people on mute left and right. It will not even be funny if we start seeing the people getting pissed off about wins. I'm not going to do it. This is going to be a long season. It's going to be a challenging season for the players, most likely for the fan base. I'm as optimistic as I am about this season. Realistically, we are not going to be good. That's the way that I feel. So any glimmer of positivity that I can take from these games, I am going to, and I'm not going to let anybody crap in my frosted mini wheats. It's just not going to happen. So, all right, Luke, last thing I wanted to talk about is Jalen Suggs in particular. Obviously, there's a lot of hype surrounding Jalen Suggs being drafted by the Orlando Magic. I feel like if the Magic are going to be competitive at all this season, Jalen Suggs is going to have a very, very good year. He's going to have to be at least somewhat in the Rookie of the Year conversation. If the Magic are going to flirt with the play-in or anything like that, obviously guys like Markelle, Jonathan Isaac, Chuma Okeke, those guys will have to play well. But Jalen Suggs will also have to be a big part of that. So I wanted to ask you, and we can kind of talk back and forth about what you think Jalen's opportunities are going to be to really have a big impact on this team, and kind of what are the needs from the Magic in terms of kind of how Jalen is going to fill that.
So first, I'll start it with some trivia, Jonathan.
Oh, great.
When was the last time the Magic had a player average over 6 assists per game?
Over 6 assists a game. Golly. I am going to go, this probably isn't even going to be right. I'll say Jameer Nelson. Don't ask me of the year. I'm just going to say Jameer.
No. So thankfully it isn't that long ago.
Okay. I feel a little bit better.
But the fact that I can phrase a question that says,
Don't
when's
tell
the
me
last
it's
time the
Elfrid
Magic?
Payton.
Elfrid Payton.
Oh, my God.
2018-19. Elfrid Payton averages that year
2018, 2019. It must have been 2017, 2018.
2017, 2018. That's right. That's what I meant.
And he got traded at the trade deadline for a second-round pick to the Suns.
And that bore the Shelvin Mack drop, dime drop in Shelvin Mack's
perfect. Yep.
Assists per game that year, 3.9.
Okay. So, hey, at least we found. Now we have more context. I feel much better about that Shelvin Mack tweet now that you and I have had this conversation, because they couldn't say it was Elfrid Payton because he was traded to another team.
He was gone.
So Shelvin Mack was only our assist leader because we traded our assist leader at the trade deadline.
Very much the case.
It still wasn't a great tweet, but the fact itself, I feel much better about that. We have solved a Magic Twitter mystery here tonight on this episode of the Six Man Show. You're welcome, folks.
So I say that to say, I think playmaking is where Suggs is going to be felt the most this year. We talked about in Summer League, it feels great to have a guy that can just go get a bucket if we need it, right? But that's what I want is someone who is going to have high assist numbers than we've had in the past. I need a true point guard. Elfrid Payton's triple doubles in March when the season's over doesn't really get me going. Elfrid Payton only averaging 6.4 assists in the 2017-18 season doesn't exactly speak my language. I would love nothing more, if nothing else, than for Suggs to average 7+ assists this year. I know it's a big ask. It's something the franchise hasn't seen in a long time. And it is one of those things that you don't really think about, right? Because, I mean, you weren't for certain. You were saying Jameer. I wasn't certain either. So that goes to show you the Magic haven't had a true point guard in a while. I know we have Markelle Fultz. I'm sorry if this feels disrespectful, but last year and whatever it was, the games that he played, I think he averaged like 5 assists a game. So, with Markelle, it's a whole different story. This year, I want to see Markelle getting to the free throw line, which he did in the first couple games and kind of stopped getting to the free throw line after that as much. Then gets injured, yada, yada. You guys know the deal. But as far as Jalen Suggs go, man, I need him to be a playmaker. I need him to make a positive impact, making plays for his teammates. I think that is where Jalen Suggs can shine the most this year.
So I do agree with you to a certain extent. I think he's also going to do a good job of making things easier for other guys. He's going to garner a lot of attention offensively when he starts to find his rhythm. And that's going to make life easier for guys like Chuma, and Franz Wagner, maybe even Terrence Ross, if those guys see minutes together. When I was thinking about the impact that Jalen can have on the Magic, something that I feel that we have missed, really for quite a long time now is not necessarily a lockdown, but like an excellent perimeter defender. Like we can talk about Jonathan Isaac. He is a very good perimeter defender against guys his size, but he really shines in terms of deflections, like off the ball, help defense, rim protection, stuff like that. But people would always criticize Nikola Vucevic, for basically just being like a wet blanket, laying under the rim for guys to score all over. Well, year after year after year, when he had guys like Elfrid Payton, Evan Fournier, at times DJ Augustine, and even Markelle Fultz, to a certain extent, of point guard after point guard just blowing by them and just having a free, downhill run to the rim, Vooch has got to help off of his guy. There's not a ton that he's going to be able to do. So in terms of this team's taking a step up defensively, obviously when Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz come back, that's going to be a huge help. But I think the rim protection is going to become a little bit better by default by Jalen Suggs being a better perimeter defender than what we have seen in the past. So I'm going to be excited to see him take on guys like Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, Kyrie Irving, James Harden. Now, is he going to stop those guys? No, but I think it's not going to be too much, to ask for him to be better than DJ Augustine or Evan Fournier have been in years past. So to see a guy, finally be able to lock, guard guys on that side of the ball, maybe, get some steals, get out in transition. That's going to be a huge thing for this team this year is getting out and running. We have all the athleticism. From everything that Coach Mosley has said, it looks like they are going to play a more aggressive style of defense this year, which, the goal with that is to lead to more deflections and turnovers and get out in transition. When you have young guys, it's really going to play to their strengths. So, like you said, the playmaking and, what we're going to see offensively from Jalen, but also defensively and having like a real, a ball stopping, defender, on the perimeter. I think that's going to, do nothing but help the interior defense. Now, we've got Wendell and Mo, so those guys are better defenders than Vooch. But I think in terms of that excuse being there for whoever our center is, Jalen is going to help take care of that a little bit.
Did you so going back to that Road Tripping podcast, which if you guys haven't listened to it with Jalen Suggs was really entertaining, as Road Tripping is all the ways anyway, but even more so with, one of, your own on the podcast and Jalen Suggs. Did it get you excited, Jonathan, when Jalen Suggs talked about going to work out with Damian Lillard?
Oh, of course it did. I wasn't going to bring it up. I didn't bring it up after that. But yeah, because, I said it at that time. I was like, I made that comparison before anyone else did, kind of what we saw out of him in Summer League. And I do think offensively, that is like, maybe that could be his ceiling. It's hard to say because Damian Lillard is just so good.
Right.
But yeah, it got me very excited, to think about Jalen kind of emulating Dame to a certain extent. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and he's already kind of gaining respect of these stars, and they, some of these NBA players. I've got news for some of you guys. A lot of NBA players, and I learned this when I was working in the G League, with the G League players. They didn't pay super close attention to NBA basketball before they were in the NBA, which is super weird. But with guys like Suggs already making connections with Damian Lillard did get me really excited because he's, showing his networking ability, wanting to get to work out with guys. I know NBA players, it doesn't go, above my head. The NBA players work out together all the time. But the fact that Suggs is already, getting in the gym with Damian Lillard, and he talked about, how Dame makes everything look so easy. And I just hope that he took an ounce of Damian Lillard's skill that day practicing with him.
We've seen the photos and the videos from training camp. He is wearing the new Dames. Like, he is definitely, all in. I don't know. We're gonna have, Suggs time. I don't know what we're gonna call it, but yeah, if he starts to put the ball in the basket like Damian Lillard, like, we're having a very, very different conversation here, in a few years. And it's hard to say a rookie is going to be that, but we saw a lot more flashes of that. In the summer league than I thought we were going to see. Is he going to become Damian Lillard? I mean, probably not. Like, in my opinion, Dame Lillard is, he's unique. He's his own. I don't know if there's ever been another player exactly like Damian Lillard. So, but yeah, I think the good thing about Jalen is, he's got a lot more offensive potential than I thought. I think he only shot like 41%. I think like 35% from three in the summer league, which isn't great. But he started off pretty hot and then kind of tailed off. He had the thumb injury in the last game that he played and everything like that. So, I'm excited for Jalen. The potential that he has offensively and defensively. I think he's really going to be the epitome of a two-way player.
Yeah,
I bet $150 on him to win Rookie of the Year, mostly because of the odds. But I wouldn't have bet if I didn't think he actually had a chance to do that. So,
yeah,
super excited. We're going to get a look at him tonight, Luke. That's the most exciting thing. Again, that game is going to start at 7:30 on NBC Sports Boston. I believe that's going to be on Summer League, so we'll have the ability to take a look at that. I'm excited for the last two home games to hear David, Jeff, and Dante again. It's been too long since we've heard from those guys, so it should be an exciting preseason. And right now, Luke, we're like 2.5 weeks from the regular season.
Almost there.
We're almost there, folks. Let's get excited tonight. Orlando Magic basketball. It was a long season, been a good season, good off season, a good day today of NFL football. It was a good college football day yesterday. So, yeah, Luke, anything else before we sign off here?
No, I think that's it.
All right, guys, like we said, we started a Patreon. If you guys want to check that out and support the show, patreon.com/the6man show. Greatly appreciate you guys that are able to share your support with us. And then the night of the opener of the season, October 20th, will be at Harry Buffalo at 8 o'clock. The game starts at 8:30, so come hang out. Always a great time, good beers, good food, good company. So make sure you guys come and hang out with us. Let us know if you're going to come so we can, basically let the venue know how many folks we're going to have on hand that night. So, but yeah, folks, let's get a W tonight. Hopefully, Jalen Suggs drops 45 points and, dunks all over.
Talk to me.
Enes Kanter and hits a, game-winning three. Who knows? Anything can happen, folks. It's the start of the season. We are on the march to the Magic winning the Larry O'Brien Trophy in June of 2022, hopefully. So probably not, but we're gonna enjoy the ride, right, Luke?
Absolutely, always.
All right, folks. So this has been Jonathan Osborne for Luke Sylvia. We're gonna sign off here. You guys are listening to the Six Man Show, and we will catch you guys next time. See ya. Thanks for listening to the Six Man Show. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and Stitcher to get new episodes downloaded directly to your phone. Please take a minute to give us a 5-star rating and a review. It would really help us out a lot. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at 6Man Show and like us on Facebook. We'll catch you guys next time. Go Magic.